Welcome to Trading Lounge and the European indices for the 6th of December. So as you know, we've been working through from wave 3 to wave 4 here as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave here. The C wave is a little bit sharp, so we need to be a little bit mindful of that. We also need to be mindful that wave 4s can get a bit more complicated. That said, we were looking for a move up to the 61.8% retracement level at the 13,200. It does appear that we have 5 waves here, so we could actually copy that and put this here for wave 1, and then wave 2 that's pulled back, well, 50%, nearly 61.8%. It hasn't given a really nice sort of corrective move back in terms of an A and a B and a C with definition. It's quite a straight drop, so it's a little bit tricky to count. We'll go and have a look at that a little bit later, but yeah, I mean, one thing that well, it's not normally in the Elliott book, but when you take the high and the low here and you get the 61.8% here, and if you get 5 waves to this here, if we only got 3 waves to that, then it would be corrective and would be going down from that point. But it does appear that we've got 5 waves to the 61.8%. So I normally find that quite bullish. So technically we should go up for wave 3, 4 and 5 and move up higher at that point. So we also, we need a way to get in, to build in on that long trade if that's going to be the case. So Friday, in a bullish market, bullish trend, Friday is normally the bullish day. And if that's the case, then we can look to see Monday follow through being bullish as well. So that's something just to keep a bit of an eye on. If you see it being bullish, strong, then just keep feeding it, just, small trades, and keep building into that space right through till Monday evening, and you'll start to see the profit taking on the Tuesday if that's the case. But if Friday turns out weaker, then there's a problem. And if this drops really any lower here, there's also a bit of a problem as well. So let's just go in and investigate this with a bit more detail. So yeah, wave 4 here. It looks like we've got 5 waves up here, so we can look at it as wave 1 and wave 2 here. But also realistically as well, we need to look at it as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave here as well, as a more complicated wave 4 in play. So we just need to keep that in mind as well. So, but I guess the good news is that, even as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave here, it's still in the same pathway as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's still that pathway to play out there. So we'll look at that. So I guess in a bit of a nutshell, the 13,100 is the sort of where the market is sort of retesting now. And if that found support, well, that would be a show of strength, wouldn't it? Be a show of hands. So we could look for a classic trading levels pattern, so the arrival, the reaction, which we've actually got now. And if it pushed up higher and then had a little correction as they do, then we would have any of these highs here. If any of those were breached, we could go to the long side based on those. So that's how we could go to the long side up there. If we were going to short this market, or if the market is going to move lower, then yes, we can sell new lows, but we'd need to be mindful that that's the 61.8% here. And if it came down any lower here, you can obviously see here, it's just simply going to bounce off here and you'll get trapped. So you need to be very careful about that. Let's go into the tick chart and just explore things a little further. So yeah, going to the upside here, counting, I won't go over all of this, but basically counting 5 waves up to this point here. The move down through here doesn't count very well as a corrective pattern, because I can count 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. I'll have to go back over that, but I've done my homework on that, and 4 and 5 here. So it does count as 5 waves down here. And then we've got this sort of ABC here with this sharp drop here. So I'm a bit unsure how to interpret that. So there's a couple of ways that could happen here. So all of this could just be wave A and then a wave B and a wave C here for wave 2 to come down a bit lower here. So I'm unsure about that. As you can see that the 13,100 has been tested from this low, from this one and this one here, and it hasn't found it as support yet. So it's still in a point of weakness, but it looks like it wants to get up there and have a bit of a go at it. So we need that to become the support here. As I just mentioned, I can't draw on this side of the tick chart. So we could look at this here, copy this here as a little 1 and 2 pulling back into here, because from this low to this high here, this is the 50-60% retracement level here. It may not be complete yet. That also looks like it's 5 waves and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we need to be a bit careful about that. That can just go up here and then back down and sit here. So we'll just leave this here. But it's kind of interesting, this point here, because this is group 2 here. So this is the midpoint, 50. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 to make up group 1, the midpoint, and then 65, 72, and 80 to make up group 2. So this market, it looks like it wants to find, you know, it's retesting the 100 here. So it's you know, that's the glass ceiling, so to speak, and that's what it's sort of testing up against. But at the same time, on a smaller level, it's actually trying to develop support on or within group 2 here. It's pegged it at 5 here, and now it's trying to climb onto support of group 2. So 65, 72, they're all important, but I find the 72 the most important, the pivot within them. There's lots of other little numbers in between these are important, whole numbers and even numbers. So it's a whole little array of numbers in here, but that's just the shell of it. So, you know, it could play out as up for 1, an A and a B and a C for 2 here, and then go up. But what we could say is that if the 65 here, the 13,065 here, the lower end of group 2, if that becomes the retested resistance, then you know there's more weakness to the downside in this. Okay, but if that holds and you can see it chipping away at this here, well, then you can start to look to build in. Your trouble spot to the upside will be from this high to this low here, the 61.8%, and that will gravitate over to the closest largest number, or the most important number, and that would be group 1. So from 100 here, that's minor. That's a minor level, and then these are sub levels. So even though 100, 200, 300 make up minor group 1, and this is minor level 1, and the next degree smaller is the sub levels. So this is also group 1 here, so 10, 20, and 30. So we know that if we get a nice tested support on top of group 1, then the market will push up to the next number 5 here, the midpoint. So that would be above the 61.8%. So then you'd know you'd be bullish at that point. So we could say that if you did trade up through here, it could just be an A and a B and a C wave up here rather than 1, 2, 3. But if support was found on that 13,130, then you know that you're good to go to the upside from that point. So you need to build in, you know, a little bit over here. So we could just look at this and reduce this here into, because that's really all it is here. You know, that might just be the A wave here, and there could be a B wave and a C wave here, and it could even just drop below here. But let's just say for the moment that it eventually establishes itself as support here. Then this is the 61.8% here of that. So that comes in the closest largest number at 13,085. So if that level there, the 85, became the support, a tested support with a classic trading levels pattern, basically sitting on top of this here, then you can also build into the long trade on that side. So we just sort of keep moving, wingling it down further and further. If this also gives us an A and a B and a C here, if that's the case, then that second high here for the B wave would also come into play as well, because it may come up to here and fail from here. So that support on here has got to be critical from that point. Yeah. And like I mentioned, if it's to the downside, it's going to get pretty bouncy to the downside, I imagine, because we've got the 13,000 here. Yeah, just a bit unsure about this this spike in the market. I'm not sure how to interpret that, or if we should use it at all, or so on and so on. So obviously it's going to become clear in hindsight, but we're always working into the empty future. So yeah. Yeah, okay, well that's it really for that. Let's have a look at the FTSE. The FTSE's been doing a completely different thing, as you know. It's a bit like FTSE to the UK is like Hong Kong to China, getting hammered. Yeah, I just want to stay with this trend here. So I know that we've got wave 1 here and 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the third wave. I'm calling all of this the fourth wave, right? And then I'm calling this the fifth wave coming down through here. So I think that there's one more little move here before we find a low. Will it reach the 7,100? I don't know. But I'm looking at this being 1 here and 2 here and 3 here and 4 here and one more move to the downside. So somewhere within group 1 here, and then we can get a bounce from that point there. If you are long from up here and still long, short from up this space up here, then we can start to bring this stop into play here. So and I'd actually bring it down into further here, but I'd just take profit down here further too. So anywhere within group 1 would be fine for doing that. And if yeah, I mean, if it continues to cascade down in some particular way, you'd still have to wait for the 71 here to become the retested resistance, so the market would move down. There would definitely be a bounce off it, and that would be a bit complicated, but just simply putting it this way here, it would be something like this here. So we can look to short again through these lows here, if that's going to be the case, if it's going to be, continue to move to the downside. But we can count a nice clear 5-wave structure down through here. I don't think the chart is going to help us much more, but yes, it's just 1 ABC for 2, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then 5 waves in this sequence here, an A and a B and a C for wave 4. And then 1 corrective wave for 2 here, and I'm looking at all of this as wave 3 here, so wave 4 here. So we don't really want that high to be taken out here. Let's just double check that. Oh, it can come a bit higher. Let me just double check that. I'll just leave that there for the time being. So another low to come in place. Well, if that's the case, then the yeah, we can bring that stop down to here. I think any move above here, above the 5's the second strongest number, any move above here, and we'd probably have more upside to go at that point. So I can see how we can get 5 waves down here. Just gives us an extension in the 5th wave, that's all. But we'll see if this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 to finish that off. But yeah, look, if the 50 becomes the support here, then you could go on the long side here, but you need that classic trading levels pattern. So the arrival, the reaction, which is already happening, the first high above the level, some type of corrective pattern sitting here, and take these highs out here. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Cheers.